Strategic Affairs Editor Gaurav Sawant also now joins us. Gaurav, doesn't this run the risk of setting a precedent for how cases involving Maoists are dealt with across the country? Earlier, we've seen Maoists take hostage government and security officials, asking for their comrades to be swapped in return for their freedom. Now, they probably even won't need to do that because their comrades will get these luxuries of newspapers and meeting their advocates in jail itself.
There indeed is fear of this setting a wrong precedent. In fact, there is anguish. I spoke to a very senior officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs, and they hoped that the minister would take the lead in appealing against this judgment, because a judgment like this, as Manogya was rightly pointing out, not only demoralizes the security forces, it also, as you were saying, sets a wrong precedent. Maoists are people who've killed security forces, they've killed innocents, they've attacked the Indian state. Anybody who doesn't believe in the Indian constitution, Indian state and Indian system has no right to be treated as a political prisoner. So a verdict like this needs to be challenged, and sources say will be challenged. Padmaja.
Absolutely. In fact, look at the comparison, Gaurav, and understandably there's going to be anguish among the security forces. The people who've been political prisoners in the past are people who are responsible for getting us our freedom for our country, and now Maoists, who are responsible for at least 3,000 deaths in the last 4 years itself, are going to get the same designation, are going to get the same facilities?
Well, there is also a question that has been raised by the legal fraternity, or sources in the legal fraternity. There is a lawyer who was saying that, you know, there has to be judicial reforms where there needs to be a background of why a judge, should give an order. A judge is supposed to interpret the constitution, interpret the law, and then deliver a verdict. And that is why they're saying that there is urgent need for this judgment to be reviewed and to be challenged in the superior court. Not only the deaths of 3,000 people, major attacks on Indian security forces, on infrastructure within the country, whether it's railroads, whether it's towers, communication towers, schools, colleges, killing policemen. Induwar's case is one such incident where Maoists dragged and killed him, the manner in which they did in Jharkhand. They've attacked security forces across the Red Corridor, and clearly they cannot be treated at par and should not be treated at par with political prisoners. So they are saying this judgment is flawed and needs to be challenged.
Manogya, I would like to ask you, interestingly, what is the reaction of the state government to what the court has said?
Well, they're keeping mum. They have their own political affiliations, and they have to keep very safe distance when it comes to such issues. We spoke to senior officials and ministers who categorically stated that they would consider appealing in the court, and they also said that the state government may not take up the case to moto, but there will be a legal procedure and a legal process that will be followed in order to protest and in order to take the case in higher court, because this is a judgment that was given by City Sessions Court. So there is a scope of moving up the High Court and moving the case in High Court. And it completely depends now on NIA, because the case was fought between the applicant of the accused, and also the defendant was the NIA authority, and the public prosecutor from NIA had to defend it. And so now all lies in NIA court to take it forward in the High Court, and of course fight it tooth and nail, because if this continues,
all right,
see in the years to come very, very demoralizing forces at least.
All right, Manogya Loiwal, Gaurav Sawant, thank you very much for joining us.